Comedian Dave Chappelle is slamming America's so-called cancel culture. In his new Netflix special, he jokes it's the worst time ever to be a celebrity and everyone is doomed. He also called out Michael Jackson's accusers. Watch.
I'm going to say something that I'm not allowed to say. But I got to be real. I don't believe these. I do not believe it.
One of them, Wade Robson, told TMZ he can say whatever he wants. It reveals him, not us. What do you make of this, Jeff?
For me, I don't care. You know what I mean? He could say whatever he wants, and the guy behind him could have the exact opposite thing. All I care about is if he's funny. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to see, like, is he a black comedian or a white comedian, or did he say this or this? I listen to Howard Stern. I love it. He's so inappropriate. We can't even talk about him on our show because you can't talk about that day to day. Dave Chappelle's an artist. He could say whatever he wants about whatever he wants. And if you don't like it, don't watch it.
I do think he hit the nail on the head when it came to cancel culture, he called it. And I do fear for celebrities and even more so comedians even saying one thing without being banned, so to speak. So I get what he's saying when he talks about like that mob mentality. As a fan of Dave Chappelle, I was disappointed in his jokes about transgender people. I didn't find it progressive. When I think about different comedians like Richard Pryor, he would talk about very controversial things like homosexuality and race relations and sexism, but he always influenced you to think progressively. And I think with Dave here, and again, I love him, I'm a fan, I think it went backwards when he talked about trans people.
Yeah, you can say that, and obviously you know how I'm an advocate of the trans community, but don't forget even Richard Pryor had a very infamous homophobic rant when he talked about basically, I'm going to put this nicely, where were the gays when black people were getting, because people were saying, are you going to say, because I think there was a big march, not the, I forgot what, but it was a big thing, and people he was asked, will you support homosexuals, and he said something very inflammatory that today would have ended his career in 10 seconds. So don't forget, like, even our heroes have said things that they regret, and I don't think Dave necessarily regrets anything he says, and I don't want him to. I think every comic, your job is to get up there and say what you need to say it in a funny way, and also comics, we can't just, I can't, if you and I are married, I can't be like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I love about my wife? She's an awesome person.
No, you
Next
can't.
joke.
Yeah.
No, you gotta, it's gotta be, but if you do that joke, it'll be, Al's putting his wife Sam down. Can't believe it in this day and age. Comics are supposed to push the envelope, say things that are a little untoward, make you laugh, make you go, ooh.
But you also are going to have to be ready for that criticism. I mean, the most of the remarks from Dave Chappelle.
It's criticism, but it's criticism without context,
right.
And that's what we've lost in this country.
But in the past, people would label him as an observational, political, satirist comedian.
When he's saying stuff they like.
Hold on, because this is what I don't get. Yeah, I think the idea of cancel culture is very relevant because it's also the context of how we're having this conversation based on why we're having the conversation. Yep. The most politically incorrect of all time. This is a man who's been very consistent. Where was all this outrage when he was talking about R. Kelly victims? I didn't see people saying it was the most politically incorrect of all times. It's politically incorrect of all times because it affects people who don't want to be affected. But they were laughing, they were sharing, they were supporting Dave to the point that if anyone isn't scared of what's going to happen, it would be Dave Chappelle, who walked away from tens of millions of dollars because he recognized the difference between being laughed with and being laughed at. So I don't want to hear about this being the most politically incorrect of all time.
What would you like people, so if people feel like that he missed the mark with the transphobic comments, what would you tell those critics?
I would say that if they call themselves fans, and they've been fans for quite some time, then you clearly know the tone of Dave Chappelle and how he operates. If you were laughing,
thought it was satirical. You don't think
if you were laughing before, then you need to continue to laugh because
I don't think that's fair. I think we can always hold our comedians to a standard of.
I'm saying it from where I'm coming from. If you want to call something the most politically correct of all times or incorrect of all times, then you're also putting a hierarchy over who can be offended. Now I'm offended. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's extreme either way.
What do you think, Sam?
Let me put a politically correct statement on what I said. We were talking about Michael Jackson, and I gave my statement, so don't take my statement out of context.
You're right.
Because we switch it over to transgender people.
No, you're right.
So that's
you're absolutely
talking about putting in context. I'm not Dave Chappelle.
Especially on live TV.
Yes, I'm not Dave Chappelle.
Sam, you're a fan of comedy.
I love comedy. I love Dave Chappelle. I thought his special, there was a lot of funny moments in it, but I also think that I can give my opinion without being so extreme of being labeled as politically incorrect or offended, because I'm not offended. I don't think it's the most politically incorrect commentary or comedic special, but I also want to hold someone always to a higher standard, and I think it's perfectly fine for me to say, I thought this part was funny, I thought this part was funny, I feel like he missed the mark here, and I think I should be okay to say that.
And I agree. You absolutely are perfectly fine to say that, but I am going to stand my ground about what I'm saying right now, because I do find it very interesting that people want to select what's offensive.
Yeah.